OP08 is here, and that means it's Pudding versus Doflamingo. Let's see how well Pudding does into one of the most notorious aggro decks right now in the format now that Red-Purple Law is gone. Though it is not at full power, Doflamingo is very strong. Doflamingo is going to be going to full power when the starter deck comes out next month, I believe, right in October. But right now, it's still very strong. We ended up taking the play, starting off with a Pudding. We ended up keeping our opening hand. That means we have a Viola, a Zorojuro, and a Katakuri in hand. This allows us to ramp at least potentially 3 times in addition to our leader effect. I believe in general with going first is you need to ramp 3 times, I believe, to get to 10 Dawn on your 4th Dawn turn. Now if you go second, you only need to ramp twice, right? That's including the leader swing. We're going to go ahead and ramp once, revealing the top 2 cards of our life. Going to go ahead and get a Dawn rested. And then we're going to play out the Viola. Viola's going to flip our life back down and letting us do the Pudding effect again. For those who don't know, Pudding is a yellow-purple leader from 08 for life. When attacking, reveal the top 2 cards of your life, and then get a Dawn rested. So I do need to be able to reveal Dawn to get that effect, so Viola does allow me to turn that face-up life back face down. It is a nice little blocker as well. So that pretty much allowed me to ramp once, and then now I can use my leader's ability to ramp again. Currently at 6 Dawn here, which with the Katakuri in hand, Katakuri allows me to flip the top card of my life face down and then get a Dawn active. So we're going to go ahead and just keep pressuring board here. We're going to go ahead and send 5 at the Crocodile, just see if we can get a 2k out of hand. We're going to go ahead and reveal effect. We're going to reveal a Viola and a 10-drop Mom, and then we're going to play out Katakuri here. Katakuri is going to flip the top card of my life face down and then get me a Dawn active here. We are now up to 8 Dawn here. That means 10 Dawn next turn. We don't have a huge drop to play. We do have a 7-drop Mom in hand, though if Doflamingo decides they want to give me that 10-drop Mom in life, I'm very happily, graciously take that effect. So Pudding is pretty interesting for like your opponents to play against because they typically see what's coming potentially into your hand, so it doesn't give them a lot of extra knowledge. But it's also a little scary if you flip over like a 10-drop Mom on the top of your life, and then they know like if they hit you, they're going to give it to you, and you're going to be on 10 Dawn, and they're just going to honestly take it. So opponent going to attach 2 to lead, does not have enough to activate leader effect, but did play the Jinbei into the Weevil here, drawing a card. Opponent's trying to build a pretty big board presence, but I'm just pretty far ahead on Dawn at this point. We're going to go ahead and draw another 7-drop Mom with a Viola to hand here. Going to go up to 10 Dawn. Unfortunately, don't have the nice big 10-drop play like that big Mom. It's sitting on top of my life, though, so if my opponent does end up hitting me, I will end up getting that in hand for next turn. See here. So likely what we're going to do is just go ahead and pressure 7k lead. 7ks are the best ways to swing into Doflamingo because that does require 2 cards from hand because Doflamingo runs typically a lot of 2ks. We're going to go ahead and attach 3, pretty much setting ourselves up to play a 7-drop Mom here. We're going to go ahead and attack with leader for 8k. Basically saying, hey, you want to give me 2 cards from hand or take that life. And now, since we played the big Mom last, the opponent has a choice here. So 7-drop Mom makes them either trash the top card of their life or give me a life, and we were pretty much even, right? I was at 2, they were at 3, so opponent did have a little bit more of a difficult choice versus if they were sitting more comfortably at 5 life there. If they were at 5 life there, they would have just trashed it, right? And then I would have swung afterwards. So this gives me a better potential of gaining a life here, which is one way that I can stay alive as we get further into the late game here, as Doflamingo is starting to build a little bit of a force here. We see a red rock come down. That's fine. I have another big Mom in hand. We've got a big Mom in life too. We just gained another life, so potentially something else. We're going to see a 7k swing at lead without leader effect as opponents on their even Dawn curve, so they had to pay 6 for red rock. I'm going to go ahead and take that. That's a Zorojuro to hand. That's just a nice little 1k. We're going to end up using that Zorojuro immediately to counter out of it, and then we've got another 2k. So this could potentially get a 2k, but I do just kind of want to play that big Mom next turn. So thank you very much for the big Mom. That means I'm going to just slam it down. My opponent's going to go down even further, right? And then I have like a 7k swing and a 5k swing just to keep pressuring here. We're going to go ahead and draw a card. We end up picking up the 9-drop Mom. 9-drop Mom is the new card from OP08. Let's see if I can remember what it does. It's a 9 cost, 9,000 on play. Dawn -1, trash a card from hand, and then add, you can gain a life, so add the top card of your life, your library to your life, whatever, and then you can take one of your opponent's characters that cost 6 or less and put it on the top or bottom of their life. So it's a nice way to like get rid of a really annoying blocker while also gaining a life and establishing a 9k body. Here I'm going to go ahead and just like send a little bit at the board here to just try to clear I end up swinging the 7k, just get the 2k, and then swing the 5k into Jinbei. Jinbei ends up dying. We're just going to play the Big Mom out. Big Mom's going to trash a Jinbei off the life, which is exactly what I want to see. Because that's one less Jinbei I have to worry about here. Jinbei is one way that Doflamingo can easily get back into the game, being able to slam down several bodies in one turn. Alright, here we've got a 7-drop bomb, we got a 9-drop bomb, so we definitely have plays for next turn. We've also got a Sanji blocker if things start to get a little hairy, but our hand is also pretty nice in counter. So we got 2 2Ks, or actually, three 3Ks including this, or 2Ks including the Sanji, and then a few 1Ks and some boss monsters. Pretty decent hand that you want to see with putting in this far into the game. Opponent's gonna go ahead and just play a Perfume Fever. This makes me think that they're likely gonna go for the Katakuri here, as Katakuri is one way that I could threaten lethal potentially next turn. And then they're going to go ahead and tap 3. They're going to play a Doflamingo out. This leads me to believe that yes, they're going to go for some kind of play that allows them to maybe take out my Katakuri here, and still get the Doflamingo effect, playing 3-drop Doflamingo to set up the life cards here. So if I might allow them to kill the Katakuri here. This is 4 more Don going on. This is 11k. That's a lot of counter here if they decide to go with the Katakuri. If they go to face, I'm just going to take it so easily. Just because I definitely going to gain life next turn. If I play that 7-drop bomb out after threatening life, it's very likely that they're going to trash a life or give me a life potentially. Obviously, the less life that they have, 7-drop bomb begins to get a little bit worse. If your opponent is at 0 life, they can elect to trash a life off that effect, so it's pretty useless when it gets pretty late in the game here. It's always best to play when they have at least 1 or 2 life to play with, because that means they still have to make some hard decisions. Going to my turn here, I take it, and then we draw a 0-cost counter. We just have so much counter in hand at this point. I have 2 decisions to make. I could go ahead and just keep establishing board presence. At this point in the game, if I play a 7-drop bomb, it's 50-50 whether they decide to trash or I gain. Instead, I could get the guaranteed here and play the 9-cost mom here. 9-cost mom. I do have quite the big hand to pitch things from. I'm going to go ahead and pitch that 7-cost mom because it's not really doing me any justice at this point in the game. And we're going to go ahead and gain a life and likely put a blocker into life here. We're going to go ahead and just put that blocker into life, pretty much saying like, hey, we're going to likely just try to clear your board. So we're going to put that face up at the bottom of the life here. Opponent's going back up to 3 life. And then we can use that 1 additional Dawn to send like 8k into Weevil. So let's see where that 8k is going to go here. We're going to send 8k at lead here, instead just pressuring life. And then I think we're just going to use the Big Mom's 12k to take out Weevil here. If my opponent wants to commit most of their hand towards that, they definitely can. We're going to send a 5k, which pretty much tells me that maybe they don't want to use too many of their 2ks, or maybe they're pretty 2k light. Because that was just like an easy 2k check. And then we're going to send that 12k into Weevil here. We have a board and a hand. That is a really nice hand to see. We have every single card in our hand is counter, and we've got a 9,000 mom and a 12,000 mom, as well as still have a blocker. That Viola is like so good in this deck, because if they don't deal with the Viola, you can just let it sit there until the end of the game, and when the time comes later in the game when you really need to use it, you can use it then. You can also use it to potentially protect something from a huge swing. Opponent here is just going to slam down a Kaido. Kaido's going to draw them 4 cards. I think I asked how many cards they had in a hand, and I think they had 11 cards at this point. So a pretty big hand, but is that hand going to be big enough for them to counter out of all of these swings here? We got a 12k, a 9k, a 7k, a 5k, and then that little pudding as well could potentially take some Dawn and start swinging it as well. Opponent's just going to go and swing 5k lead. I'm just going to go ahead and counter out of that with the Zoro Juro. And here we're going to go to my turn here. I think we can likely seal the game here. We know what one of the life cards are. Just depends how many cards we can get out of my opponent's hand. That's kind of the goal of this turn, right? Because we can pretty much assume that my opponent can't go for lethal. Blue doesn't run really any rush effects in these decks. I think the only card they have is Rush Usopp. If they're running a Rush Usopp, then honestly they get me with Rush Usopp. That's like my philosophy on that card here. Pick up a Bond Clan hand, not very useful at this point. I think what we're going to end up doing is just trying to go for game here. Best way to do that is just to maybe threaten some 9s, or maybe at first just try to get something out of hand here. We've got a lot of Dawn to work with. I do end up setting 2 Dawn aside for a potential Viola play if I really needed to. We're going to go ahead and take forward, so we're going to go ahead and start with a 9k. 9k is going to require 3 cards out of hand here. At least 2 2ks and a 1k, or even more cards if their Kaido split was not that good. We're going to get 2 2ks and a 1k, 3 cards out of my opponent's hand. Then we're going to go ahead and swing 10, so 10 at lead here. The opponent's just going to take it. Okay, we have enough Dawn to swing another 10, and I think we're just going to cautiously leave that 2 Dawn up here for the chance of doing a Viola, depending on what my opponent does. My opponent still has a lot of cards here. We're going to go ahead and swing 12k at lead. 12k is going to get... Or sorry. They thought I was sending it at Kaido. I was like, no, I can't attack Kaido. So 12k at lead here. And I think my opponent's just maybe going to see if they can counter it. But they honestly might just scoop it up here. And they ended up showing me not enough counter in hand. Their hand ended up being like 4 counter and then a bunch of non-counters. So the Kaido ended up not picking them up what they needed. So that ended up cleaning up the game here. I was able to establish a very quick board presence going first, taking my 10-Don turn on my 4th turn, allowing me to just continuously throw down big life swings, and my opponent just couldn't handle it at that point. So that's the pudding matchup here. If you like this type of content, feel free to subscribe and like the video. Thanks everybody for watching.